There aren't a lot of freezers across the state that have that capacity. And so again, state lab with the redundant power, our large healthcare systems, we were able to buy some freezers and put them in other locations so that we've got good geographic spread across the state. Now, next week, we're going to get the Moderna vaccine, or anticipate getting the Moderna. That's a much simpler vaccine to deal with. It's kept at freezer temperatures that are more consistent with normal vaccines, and it comes in smaller allocations of 100 rather than that 975. And so we'll be able to do a lot more direct ship on that vaccine as opposed to the Pfizer, which is just that much more complex.
And when that happens, do you see yourselves phasing out of using Pfizer and then just using the Moderna vaccine?
At this point, all of our allocations are controlled by the federal government. They determine what we get each week, whether it's the Pfizer or the Moderna. Governor's asked for 5.7 million doses. Asked up front for everything to vaccinate every Coloradan. Federal government is allocating to us, and then we determine where it goes each week, trying to make sure that we're hitting that phasing, right? 1A, our healthcare workers are most vulnerable, working our way down, and then also ensuring that we've got really good geographic spread so that everybody in the state has access. Obviously looking at the complexity of that Pfizer vaccine and the Ultracold compared to the Moderna, which is a little bit easier to work with. And so we're really looking at this on a 14-day cycle, right? We get Pfizer 1 week in that cycle, Moderna the next week, and then we kind of work our way through that.
I know we spoke to someone from Health One, and they were still trying to figure out how they're going to contact their employees, who's going to. So I guess my question is, are hospitals ready for this? You guys seem ready, but are the healthcare systems ready for this?
Everybody is moving as fast as we can. Understand that this was authorized on Friday. We're still getting more guidance as we speak, right? We all understand the basics of immunization. We all understand the basics of this vaccine. We know that it's safe. We know that it's effective. And at this point, we're all working together to move as rapidly as we can, but as safely as we can, to make sure that we're ready to put this vaccine into the arms that need it first.
You talked about, you said 795 doses here.
975.
975 here, and then in Colorado Springs, UC Health, and then Poudre, right? Are the other two locations?
It's UC Health, Poudre Valley, and who's the third one today?
UC Health, Poudre Valley, and Boulder Memorial.
Boulder.
So it's 4 places.
So three.
Three today.
Poudre Valley is the UC Health facility.
But there's one coming here.
So there's one coming here. Yeah, there's 3 places. One here, Poudre Valley, and Boulder.
Okay, not UC Health. Not Colorado Springs.
Correct. The UC Health facility at Poudre Valley. Okay. Yep.
So at this point, you're estimating how many people will be able to get vaccinated by the end of this week, let's say?
Honestly, we're still trying to work with our hospitals to figure that out. There's a balance here in moving as rapidly as we can to get people starting to get vaccinated, but not going so fast that we potentially waste any vaccine, right? We need to have arms lined up and ready to go. Once you start taking that vaccine out of the ultra-cold storage, it starts to expire rapidly. And so we got a balance to strike here. And I know people want to move fast, right? But we have to be careful. This is just the beginning of a very long road. And so, we're working with our hospitals to make sure they're ready, start vaccinating as soon as humanly possible.
How big a day is this?
This is a monumental day. I mean, this is absolutely historic. To think that a vaccine has been brought to market in less than a year is absolutely astounding. This is the beginning. This is the gateway to the end of this pandemic, right? We need to shore up our healthcare system, and we need to protect those who are most vulnerable. And this vaccine is what allows us to start doing that. I know the general public wants to go back to normal. The masks, they're not coming off for a while. And the general public is not going to have access to this vaccine, again, because of limited supply for several months. And so we need to be patient. We need to wear our masks. We need to do our social distancing. We need to avoid gatherings. We need to wash our hands and stay home, right? But this is a truly historic day in our state and in our country as we begin working towards, the next phase in truly ending this pandemic.
Scott, will you say and spell your first and last name for me?
Sure, it's Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Bookman, B-O-O-K-M-A-N. I am CDPHE's COVID-19 Incident Commander.
Do you have an idea?
I honestly don't. General Sherman can probably tell you. So what's our dose? I know we're getting about 46,000 over the course of the week.
46,800 Pfizer this week. Then we get 95,800 of the Moderna next week. And that's all we know right now.
And will you repeat that one more time?
So it's 46,800 of the Pfizer vaccines this week, which gets delivered today through Wednesday. And then next week is 95,800 of the Moderna vaccine.
Tell us about your role and what the...
So I'm Brigadier General Scott Sherman with the Colorado National Guard. I'm the director of the Colorado Vaccine Distribution Joint Task Force.
With the Safeway and Key Supers agreeing to let you use their freezers, is that for the Moderna or the Pfizer?
We have 24 facilities in the state that are receiving the Pfizer vaccine that have the ultra-cold storage capability. So those are the ones that will receive it. Most other facilities, it's a standard freezer. Moderna's at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Of course, Pfizer is minus 80 degrees Celsius, so over minus 100 Fahrenheit. So that's the challenge of that vaccine.
What kind of protections is the National Guard going to have in place as you guys are moving these vaccines around the state?
I'm not going to talk specifics, except that it's going to be a combination of medical courier and National Guard personnel, along with law enforcement. They've already received a brief on this, so they'll be helping with security too.
So big day?
Oh, monumental day. I think it's a great day for our nation that able to get this vaccine done in under a year. So it's incredible. It's a fantastic day for it, and just hope that Coloradans stay patient. We're totally relying on the federal government as far as distribution, and we have to get our most vulnerable population done first, and then hopefully by this spring we can get to phase 2, and by summer, early summer, phase 3, so that everyone can get a vaccine.
Did you ever think you'd be involved in something like this?
I did not. I didn't. We've been heavily involved in COVID, the National Guard, with testing and helping the state out. Didn't really know we'd be that involved with vaccine distribution until a few weeks ago. So we're always here, always happy to help. And so it's an exciting time for us too.
Thanks.
So let's leave it here, and as soon as he's walking in, I will get him my cup.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
I never do face the product. That's our digital director. Since we cannot have that many people, so you have to do it. Yeah. It's been all very good.
Well, actually, I'm going to ask Nico to pan over because the governor has actually just arrived here at the state lab. And so that means things are about to kick off. So earlier we did see a FedEx truck that pulled around the corner, and I have confirmed with the state that that is in fact the truck that is carrying those first doses of this Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. So in that truck is just one box. It's actually not very big. And inside that box is 975 doses of this vaccine. So you just saw the governor walk inside there. Here pretty soon we'll be taking his live statements that he will be making. We have to stay out here in our specific area. Masks are on now that more people have arrived, but we can't officially say we are outside the state lab. Governor has walked inside, and actually pretty soon we should be able to see that FedEx truck pull in right here at this loading dock. Again, it's got one box on it about maybe this big is what I've been told by the state. And inside that box, again, 975 doses of this Pfizer COVID vaccine, guys.
Yeah, Jordan, talk about the historical importance of this. I mean, this is the fastest time that a vaccine has been developed in history, and then now it's being distributed. Of the 2.9 million doses that are expected to go nationwide, Colorado is getting 46,000 doses. So talk about just how historical this moment is, and kind of like the energy or feeling that you're seeing around you.
You know, the energy is definitely one of excitement. When we definitely saw those first shipments leaving Michigan yesterday, the excitement really started building at that time. We saw people cheering there. There's really not a whole lot of people cheering here, and that was actually designed on purpose. They didn't really want us to say exactly where we were. They didn't want people showing up here for that reason. But you can definitely tell excitement. People I've talked to or people who have we've had conversations on social media, because for them, Natasha, this is personal. You know, they have waited months. We've seen, unfortunately, we've had to experience so many different deaths and so many different illnesses. And so the fact that this is finally here, we have waited so long for this, even though I know we've done this quote unquote at warp speed, this is a moment that people are saying, you know what, we might finally be able to stave off this virus. So it's extremely important, Natasha.
All right, Jordan, I'm going to cut you off there really
deal.
quick. It sounds like Governor Polis is now speaking, so I believe we're taking him live now.
Some of the people that actually work in COVID wards later today, nurses, doctors, people who clean COVID wards, some of those who are most at risk. This is also a triumph of modern science. When you think about how long it took to get prior vaccines like polio and others to market, years, even decades, some of them, this one was done in record time. Highly effective vaccine, and not just vaccines. This one today is the Pfizer one. We're expecting the Moderna one, hopefully within a week or two. This is the one that requires extreme cold storage, so we're going to see what that looks like. It's a little bit harder to move around, but they are both highly effective, and there are others being tested that we hope are just as highly effective as well, 95%, which is really a gold standard. So I think as we think about this historic moment, I hope this inspires young people to go into science, right? I mean, just think of the difference that people can make and are making, scientists working in labs that are able to make by creating something that will save millions of lives. We've lost just over 3,000 Coloradans, I believe 3,015 today to coronavirus. This vaccine, once it's widely distributed, will end this pandemic. Here in Colorado, across the United States, across the world, a similar vaccine. So we're just waiting for the doorbell to ring. Then that means the truck is here, and then we're going to open the gate. Right, Dr. Herlihy? Isn't this exciting?
Absolutely.
So as I said, I hope that this moment that we're about to experience can inspire a whole new generation of scientists. When young people, high schoolers, college students, middle school students, elementary students, just see the difference that scientists have made in saving lives, I know it'll inspire a whole new generation of young people to go into the biological sciences and maybe other sciences as well, just seeing the difference that they can make with their innovation. And you never know where the next cure or vaccine is going to come from, right? I mean, it could be a child in Wheat Ridge or in Sterling that invents the cure to cancer, right? And that's why we believe so strongly in investing in good education, good early childhood education, literacy, making sure that no matter where that kid grows up, that they have the opportunity to fulfill their potential. So we are about to welcome the vaccines, the very first vaccines here in Colorado. Any minute now, we're going to hear a doorbell. That's not a doorbell, it's a knock, but okay. And then we're going to, of course, let the vaccine in. Oh, there we go. This is the Pfizer vaccine arriving here in Colorado to end the pandemic. Set it right here. Alrighty. Got it? Do we have to sign for it?
You betcha.
All right.
Unless you don't.
I'll sign for it. Thank you, by the way, for all your work for FedEx. I know they're important distribution partners in this. Just show me where to sign. I've been waiting to do this signature for 9 months. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We received it. And did you have to do anything special with the cold chain management on this, or
No.
it's just in there? The dry ice is all in there. Yeah.
Dry ice
yeah.
and the sensor are both in the
That's
box.
exciting. I know the FAA made special exceptions for all this to travel. So.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
Very first vaccine. Thank you, FedEx.
Thank you.
So again, if you're just now joining us, the first shipments of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine have arrived in Colorado. That was the box you're just seeing there, Governor Polis, there to sign off on it. He's very excited about it. This is 46,800 doses of Pfizer's vaccine going out to the first phase of people, those that work in the emergency room, those that work in the long-term care facilities. Jordan, I know you're standing there, right there with the FedEx truck that just delivered the vaccines. Talk a little bit about what you're feeling out there, the emotion, the anticipation of all this.
Well, I don't think you guys could see this or hear this, but people are actually just kind of applauding the FedEx driver here after he walked back out. So we're seeing everything from the outside of what you guys were seeing there inside the press conference. So we saw this truck just a few minutes earlier, but they were waiting for the governor to get here. So then they drove back around, backed in, and inside, I think you guys could see that box. It was about, I don't know, maybe like that big or so. And inside that box is 975 doses, as we were discussing earlier. It looked like he was kind of actually having a little bit of a hard time getting it in there, but there is definitely a feeling of excitement out here, and especially as he walked back out again, just the few people that are actually out here seemed very excited, clapping for him, clapping for the fact that those doses are officially here in Colorado, Corey.
Pretty incredible. Jordan, as always, thank you. And we're going to keep going back out live there to Jordan. Again, a historic day. But we do want to toss it over to Becky now for the check of your forecast. Hey, Becky.
Yeah, good morning, guys. It's definitely chilly out there this morning. We are looking at temperatures in the teens, if not single digits, and it certainly feels colder thanks to a little bit of wind. A storm system's moving into Colorado, so we're also preparing for yet another round of snow. We're going to add to that snow that's already on the ground. We've got a lot of clouds that are out there. Those clouds continue today, keeping us chilly. Snow that's coming down right now is west of Vail Pass. It's part of a system that's a pretty big one that's produced snow over Nevada and Utah, and there those winter weather advisories.
Now is here says hold down the red button for 3 seconds.
And what is
we
it?
Received it.
This officially means we received it.
Yep.
Not okay
That
from
means
Pfizer, not
will
FedEx.
know.
Ready? So it's now logged in that we received
Yes,
it from
sir.
Pfizer. Great tracking equipment. Here's this.
Yep. So what we need to do now is we're actually gonna have to move it over
Okay.
towards the ultra-cold freezer.
Yeah, we know it
that way.
can't last
So,
very long
yep.
outside of that. Okay.
So we're gonna grab some gloves. And I got them right here.
And then when we move it out to hospitals, we use dry ice also, or do we use it, or it's
We're
within the
actually,
window?
since we're transporting it
Close. It's within,
refrigerated
right.
instead of frozen.
Within, yeah.
We're actually going to be using these vaccine coolers that are made for transporting vaccines refrigerated. So.
Great.
Hurry up.
Okay.
Grab this right here.
Yes.
All right, let's pick it up.
Into the freezer. Now, did we have this freezer before, or did we get it specifically for this?
It was ordered specific for this.
Okay, so
You can
it's
open it up.
Are you ready?
Yep. I am ready.
and these are the packs.
So this is the dry ice right
That's the
here.
dry ice. Get that out. Dry ice pack. Okay.
This is the box. You good? You're welcome. It's hard right here. I think there's some straps on the side.
There we go.
There we go. Now we can push this up.
Okay.
And here's the vaccine.
There it is. The vials are right there.
And then we're going to put them in the freezer.
Yep.
Get everything? Now let's, yeah.
Close. Is that the only one? That's the only one in here, I
That's the
hope,
only
right?
one we
Okay,
have.
good.
So the one tray is the 975 doses.
Got it. Okay.
So if you would have...
It's in there.
Yep.
Yay! The triumph of modern science. Here we go. The end of the pandemic, ready to go. It'll take a few months for enough people to get it, but right away, starting today, some health people who work in COVID wards, and then right away, some of our older Coloradans who live in nursing homes, some of the most vulnerable will be protected. So thank you for all your work here at the state lab and for being a point of distribution for this. Not the only point that I would add. They're going to other points too. But thank you so much for all of your work. So thank you, everybody.
I know people will see that and
Yeah.
they'll say, that's it? Because it's such
Yeah.
a small tray. What do you think about the amount of vaccines we just got?
So each little vial was quite small. So we're going to be getting over 40,000 today through Wednesday. Is that right? Today through Wednesday. Over 40,000 this week. And they will all go in people's arms. Then within a week or two, the next number is going to be in the 80 or 90,000 for Moderna, also easier to transport. So what is important for people to know is that this is just the start of the distribution, right? And so it'll help protect some of our most vulnerable, the tireless COVID workers who work in COVID wards every day. and then more will become available for the general population to help end the pandemic. The other thing people need to know is when they get the shot, and everybody will have the opportunity to do that soon, it doesn't mean you're immune the next day or the next week. This is a 2-shot course. And so you take one of the shots, and then 25 days later you take the second. Then it's not till a week after that that you're immune. So people have to make sure that they are aware that the immunity doesn't start like 3 days after they get that first shot.
I feel like, too, there's so many players in this. You have now the National Guard, hospital systems, all of you. What has the coordination been like, and what kind of challenges has that come with?
Well, we have our A-team on this. That's why we have General Sherman, the National Guard. We have the state lab, just making sure that this all arrives, that we keep the cold chain, that it gets into people's arms, and hopefully the most vulnerable and the workers in the COVID wards and others first, and then others. So really, we just want to make sure that Colorado is a national model for successful vaccine distribution. We wish there was more now, wish there was more earlier, but every state's getting the same pro rata amount based on their population, and we're going to make sure that we distribute that as effectively and efficiently as possible.
And how have things changed for you after you recently had COVID, and we know your partner, it was pretty scary for him at one point. How has that changed anything for you then with this?
Well, you know, look, there's over 3,015 Coloradans have lost their lives. So for them, the vaccine has come too late. For the hundreds of people that are now in hospitals on ventilators, 1,500 in hospitals, only a fraction of them on ventilators, but for some, it might come too late. But for others, people that will be with us for decades to come, their lives will be saved because of this vaccine that arrived here today.
Are you surprised at how fast this is all transpired?
Well, it's been weeks and months of planning. Frankly, it feels too slow. While it's fast, it still feels slow. I mean, this has been 9 months. The people in the state lab have been working around the clock. The testing that they do here is a big part of our state's overall testing. So this is record fast for a vaccine, but I think for many that are in the trenches, the people that are going to be getting this today on COVID wards, the last 9 months feel like 9 years or 90 years. I mean, it just feels like an eternity for those folks who have to go in every day, risk getting it. Many of them have contracted it, but not be able to be with their families. Some of them are living in separate rooms and have been for months because they're worried that they might bring it home to their families.
And how is it acquiring these ultra-cold freezers? Has it been hard to get those and figure out where they need
Let me, who Scott, or who did that, the freezer? I know it's a new freezer, but doing it.
We were able to procure the freezers that we needed to, strategically put them across the state. Again, we want to make sure that we have good geographic spread so that we can provide this vaccine for everyone as quickly as possible.
And that's Scott Bookman, incident commander. And I would add the next vaccine we're getting will not require this level of refrigeration, more conventional level. This is not an unheard of level. I mean, a lot has been made of how cold this is, but this is consistent with, there are other materials that are handled by researchers in state labs that require extreme cold.
Do you think there's any chance for the group that will get it in the summer, phase 3? Any chance that could be earlier than the summer?
Well, absolutely. As soon as Colorado gets the doses, they're going to be administered. We want to be one of the leading states in adaptation of the vaccine. There's a lot of folks that are ready and eager to get it. The priority will be over 65, people with pre-existing conditions. But for the general public, as soon as we receive those doses, they'll be administered.
Governor, why is it important for you to show the Colorado public that you're involved in this process? Can you talk a little bit about how you're reassuring folks that this is safe to take? And are you worried that people won't think it's safe to take?
Say that, what was the last part?
Are you worried that people won't think this is safe to take?
Yeah, I mean, what's important is that people know that this vaccine means the end of the pandemic. And whatever the pandemic means to you, and to most people, it means you might have lost loved ones. I've lost friends. Another great Coloradan just died yesterday, Dr. Stan Shear, who I got to know as superintendent of Thompson School District. And even 20 years ago, I knew him as superintendent of Littleton School District. He just retired 2 years ago, and then it took him and his wife. So, again, for some people it means that loss. For some it means the economic loss. It means I lost my job as a waiter or waitress. It means my small business is in jeopardy. For some it means frustration, not being able to socialize. I can't hang out with friends. I can't go out at night. Whatever, and some people are affected by all those, right? I mean, lost their job and lost hours, can't socialize at night, lost a friend. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive. What this means, this triumph of modern science, is that the end of the pandemic is in sight. This is the beginning of the end today. Over 40,000 doses arriving this week. over 80,000 in the next few weeks, the beginning of the end of the pandemic. It's in sight. A reminder for people to wear masks, avoid socializing, to keep a distance from others in these next few weeks and months, so that we can minimize loss of life, minimize economic disruption, and celebrate the triumph of modern science over a fatal adversary.
Do you feel like this vaccine is safe? I mean, do you have any doubt in your mind that it's safe?
Well, absolutely. They tested it on tens of thousands of people, and what people experience is very consistent with other vaccines. So when you get the flu vaccine, and I get it most years, some years I feel I don't even notice anything the next day. Other years I have a little achy arm or a little bit of aches and pains. This is the same. So many people will experience nothing. The majority probably will experience nothing the next day. Some will experience a sore arm, aches and pains, feel slightly ill for a day. So think of it like any other vaccine. It is similar. It's triggering your body's antibody response. And that's an immune response that it triggers. It's the same basic way that most other vaccines work. And sometimes there are minor symptoms for a day associated with that immune response.
One last question. Governor, sorry, there's no one else here probably in the state that has felt as much pressure as you have since March when the first cases arrived. To be the person that signed in the FedEx box and to help deliver this in there, can you just talk a little bit about what that means for you personally, especially since, again, your family just went through this and you felt a lot of pressure? It's
a powerful and emotional moment to celebrate the beginning of the end of the pandemic for everybody. I mean, yes, as leader, a lot of this has been on my shoulders, but this has been on the shoulders of every Colorado family. Whether you got COVID or not, whether you personally lost somebody or not, the economic, the social impact, the psychological impact. This has been a very tough year for everyone across the world, for everyone in America, and of course for everybody in Colorado. And my family's no exception, both professionally and having to take on challenges that I didn't anticipate as governor, and personally having contracted COVID, and with my partner Marlon having had to spend 2 nights in the hospital. So this is a very powerful and compelling moment for everybody. In addition to being the beginning of the end, it's also a celebration of the triumph of modern science and an important reminder about how important science and research are in our everyday lives and how they can save lives. Thank you all. We'll let them get to work on the distribution.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
How are you?
Everyone's so excited about a doorbell in your life.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That was a great doorbell.